Another Saturday night of soccer in South Texas. Copa Tejas edition as the on San Antonio FC at Toyota Field. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. Again, not just a good old-fashioned rivalry, but playoff implications here in the USL Championship. Lincoln Rose, along with Coach Tim Hankinson. And, Coach, is one thing when there's a rivalry and both teams are at the bottom of the table, but each of these has different scenarios that they are trying to still play for and try to be postseason bound.
There's no question. They both are in urgent situations. You know, San Antonio winning the next two, suddenly they have a chance to host a home field advantage in the playoffs, which is a big advantage for any team in the league. And for Austin, you know, really, depending on what New Mexico does, I mean, this is a last hurrah potentially for them. They're in a must-win situation.
Well, San Antonio FC this year continues to find their way on the right foot here down the stretch. Let's take a look at what we are eyeing in terms of the playoff picture for San Antonio. Despite the loss the other night, by the end of the evening, other results played out in their favor. As a result, San Antonio FC is guaranteed a spot. The question is, will they be one of the top two in the Mountain Division and have a chance to host? They do control their own destiny if they can continue with victories tonight as well as in that season finale. Well, I talked about they're always on the right foot. A lot of the times that foot belongs to Nathan.
Nathan is an outstanding striker. I mean, he started very slow this season, and we go back to a particular week when there were two exhibition games against two teams from Mexico that he kind of played with freedom and fun and found his form, and now he's climbed the ladder to be ready to break a record tonight for the club. Yeah,
11 goals has him tied for the top mark. Can he find another goal at the expense of Austin FC Austin Bold after converting on a penalty earlier this year? Meanwhile, for the Bold, when they make their way down here, they do it on the back of their captain in Javi Baez. What a great resume he has built, and this year continues to try to drag his team across the finish line.
Yeah, when you've played over 154 games for Chivas in Mexico and numerous other clubs. For this team, he's like the metronome. He's the tick-tock, controlling the tempo, and really leads the whole team in the direction that they play all night.
So Bold and San Antonio FC, as so far the Bold have claimed two of these matchups. What do you think San Antonio FC needs to do early on to take advantage of home field advantage?
I think, Austin's going to be nervous. They know they can't lose tonight. But for San Antonio, you look at it, we're coming off a 4-2 loss. And so even though we can get caught up in all these different scenarios, the fact is they need to win tonight just to get back on track. You're starting a 180-minute path to the beginning of the playoffs, and you want to be in form. And so it's very important they have a good game tonight.
Well, it's great that there's more than just bragging rights when it comes to breakfast tacos tonight. Copa Tejas as well as USL Championship Mountain Division playoff hunt. It all gets underway with 90 minutes coming your way tonight in San Antonio. Next, here on ESPN+.
Ready, set, Pizza Hut! We want to help pack the dome by giving you a voucher for 2 free tickets to an upcoming UTSA football game when you order today. Visit goutsa.com/Pizza Hut for more details. Epic seasons call for epic pizzas.
If sweat is your body's natural way of cooling itself down, then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
Juega en cualquier terreno.
Arrendatarios calificados arriendan una nueva Tundra 2021 Special Edition por $439 al mes. Toyota, vayamos juntos.
Ready, set, Pizza Hut! We want to help pack the dome by giving you a voucher for 2 free tickets to an upcoming UTSA football game when you order today. Visit goutsa.com/Pizza Hut for more details. Epic seasons call for epic pizzas.
Fourth and final meeting here in this regular season between the Austin Bold and San Antonio FC. San Antonio trying to defend its home pitch. In fact, if they have things go their way, we'll look for a win tonight, as well as another win at home to close out the season next weekend, and then be able to reward the fans with a home matchup in the opener round. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for both of these sides. First up, with Alan Marcina's men, of course, Matt Cardoni, fearing the beard, back there between the pipes once more with that three-man back. Of course, you could always argue it's a five-man back line as you take a look at the starters tonight, Coach.
It's a great group. I mean, when you have Nathan, Dylan, Gallegos, Epps, these are four guys that can create a goal and score a goal. So it's very hard to stop San Antonio because it's not centered around one particular striker. It's a handful of attacking players for them to worry about.
Epps has really enjoyed some nice form in the past couple of months offensively. And, of course, for Austin Bold, this is a team now that's playing its fifth match in 14 days. If you want to go a little farther, sixth match in 18 days. A little bit of understandable squad rotation in El Paso the other night, but they're back to full strength this evening.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't won a game in the last four, so that's an obstacle that they've got to find a way to overcome. And like I said, when your back is against the wall and you're in a must-win situation, it tightens the nerves and you don't play with as much freedom. But they will play with fight and they will play with urgency, and I expect this to be an engaging game right from the opening whistle.
May have noticed a former San Antonio FC man, the first to get us started here with kickoff. This is Sonny Guadarrama, who signed with San Antonio back in 2018. That was after over a decade in Mexico. Wears the same number 33 with Austin that he wore here with the red and black. Sonny grew up in Cedar Park, north of Austin.
Well, you know, it's been a very interesting team, Austin, to watch their evolution because they went through a coaching change mid-season, and that turned into a number of consecutive wins. And now they've gone, you know, their last four games without a win. And part of the problem is, I mean, the goals against are pretty similar to what San Antonio has done this year. And they actually have 10 shutouts. But it's been the goals for and the lack of playmaking and assists. And there was a time when they had Urcoli and Peño, Omar and Dioff, a lot of athleticism, but it just didn't translate into the back of the net. So we'll see how they do tonight. Some new pieces.
Yeah, there's a time they were almost the Austin Reggae Boys. Of course, the man who does take the reins as head coach is Ryan Thompson. Since taking over, 4 wins, 2 draws, 4 defeats. But 3 of those 4 losses have come in these last 3 outings. His first win was against San Antonio. That's when things got started with a 3-match win streak, unbeaten through 4. But you can understand this as a coach with as compacted as a schedule as they have had now over these past couple of weeks. After a while, it's going to catch up to you no matter how much good fortune you had with all the emotions and momentum early on.
Right, and they've been going through some roster changes. I look at San Antonio, and pretty much they're the same group that they started with. Whereas, you know, even though Austin made a commitment a couple of years ago to a lot of these players on 2- and 3-year deals so they could bring that consistency of effort with the same group. The fact is, about midway through this season, it seemed like the philosophy changed, and some of the players they had on loan, were sent home, or they sent players on loan. And so it's been really a group that has been constantly in change, and that, to me, always affects the results, and we'll see how it plays out tonight.
So, of course, Austin in the white tonight makes the, we would say, easy drive down to San Antonio. It is by far their shortest trek in the bus, but Interstate 35 is very much in postseason form right about now on this Saturday evening.
Well, there's so many things going on between these two cities. No wonder there's great rivalry between them. I'm looking at San Antonio playing generally with a 3-back center-back system, 2 wide players, and PC playing on the left tonight, and Maloney on the right, giving the balance of really, when they collapse in defense, it turns out to be a back 5. But when they attack, those 2 wide players push forward, and you end up with 3 center backs and Abu, the defensive midfielder, sitting in front. And as long as you keep those 3 plus that 1 together, it protects you pretty well against the counterattack.
Forward on that run on the far side, runs out of real estate. Of course, Ollie Wright unavailable tonight after picking up his second yellow in that matchup in the 58th minute against New Mexico, exiting the match with a 2-1 lead. Of course, we would go on to see
There's no question that when 32 fouls are called and 17 of them are yellow cards, something is not right in management of that game, which is unfortunate because really both teams played pretty well. It's just the foul count, the cards count just started to change things. And eventually with Wright's red card, that really made it very difficult for San Antonio to get through there with success.
Jose Gallegos will get a second crack at this corner kick after the last one went off of Guadarrama. Gallegos sends it in. No longer a teenager, the standout here from San Antonio. Jose turning 20 this past month. But what a journey he has had in such a short amount of time with San Antonio FC, and this will stay on this end as the foul won by Maloney.
Well, you know, over the last couple of years, we've talked about how young he is, and there are a lot of areas of his game that need to continue to mature and work. But, you know, by American standards, a 20-year-old is still a young professional. By European standards, for example, in talking to Arsenal, when you become 21 years old, if you haven't made the first group, you're being shipped away to some other club, lower club, where you try to keep your career going. But 21 at that age is you've got to be mature and your skill set locked in and your ideas locked in. Otherwise, they're going to let you go. And so 20 may be young here, but 20 is not young there. And eventually, you know, you hope a player like this gets a chance in Europe. I know he trained at Bayern Munich and Barcelona over the summer to try and get some of that that polish in his game. And hopefully he'll continue to progress in those directions.
San Antonio enjoyed 3 set pieces in quick succession there. Nothing to show for it, at least not yet here early on. For Austin, back in goal, Elliot Panico among the men who had the night off in El Paso. San Antonio looking to strike first, just unable to wrap his left boot around that, looking to stand all by himself atop the scoring mark for a single season was Nathan. You know he'll get another look before it's all said and done.
Well, and, you know, again, we're hoping he breaks that record and, you know, gets hot at the right time of year. But, you know, next week we face Barry from Colorado, who's got 25 goals, to put it in perspective. So that's going to be a very interesting challenge for our defenders. But certainly it'll be a great rivalry when you talk about matchups, 2 strikers, top scorers on their team, 2 strikers, you know, fighting for the Gold Boot Award in Nathan and Barry. And so it'll be a fun match to watch.
Yeah, the most disappointing thing about the season for Hadji Barry is no longer has as many goals as matches played this year. But what a year it has been for him over there at Colorado Springs.
Yeah, and they did the right thing. They, halfway through this season, signed him to a longer-term contract, knowing that kind of success, those kind of players, you can't afford for them to get away from you. And I hope that, you know, our organization will look at this group who has had good success this season. And because, you know, when we put the first lineup out in the first game of this season, there were 9 new players. And so very little was retained from a playoff team from the year before. And, you know, that's up for the coaches and management to assess. But, you know, to really start getting off to a fast start, you want to find a group that becomes your core group that you keep together for 2, 3, 4 years and build with.
San Antonio stays organized in the back. Aldo Quintanillo is looking for a miscue to pounce on. As so far, Austin has not been able to test Matt Cardoni. What a fixture Matt has been here in San Antonio, growing up in the area, going to Trinity High School, continuing on in the NASL here, and, of course, now the past 6 seasons with San Antonio FC, this year occupying the space between the pipes each and every minute so far.
Yeah, the Beard has done outstanding this year.
As Guadarrama just sends that one shy of the post. So we started off the match talking about Sonny, his ties to San Antonio. In fact, he and Omar Gordon were both a part of San Antonio's roster in that 2018 campaign. Sonny slid over to Austin when they opened up their franchise up the road. But Sonny was not with the team at the start of this year. His new job on LinkedIn was the fact that he is and still is the Spanish language color analyst on the Major League Soccer broadcasts up the road. But late in the season, once he got his form on air, he pointed out, I still haven't retired. He reached out to both organizations, both Austin FC and Austin Bold, and asked if perhaps he could compete when the schedules did not conflict. Sonny did not make the trek out to El Paso, but is here today. And, of course, will be back on the microphone tomorrow when the Dynamo slide over for that Copa Tejas Major League Soccer edition. But This is a guy, Sonny Guadarrama, when he was signed by Darren Powell here at San Antonio FC, he had already started up a new club south of Austin, and so he was juggling that in practice and matches back in 2018, and he's been a workhorse ever since.
Well, no question he has a passion for the game, and let's face it, no player ever wants to stop playing. They want to extend their career under any circumstance as long as they possibly can. And he's stayed pretty healthy and, still got game, so why not? Good to see him out there.
He takes the shove from Tainter there. Sonny now 34 years young. Had a really memorable goal here that hit off the crossbar, off a goalkeeper, and went home for a Cinco de Mayo victory back in 2018.
Well, it's also not just a guy who's played in the USL, but he's a guy who's played for Atlante and Dorados and Necaxa, so again, just like Baez, maybe not as many games in the Mexican top division, but certainly a player who's got experience there and can bring that talent to the park.
Some skills on display from Gallegos. Nathan just runs out of real estate across that byline, able to keep it in play, but the attack will come to a halt. So again, San Antonio was in El Paso the other night. They fell 3-0. That was the same evening that we saw San Antonio at New Mexico. San Antonio, Nathan found that equalizer. They would go up 2-1. Ultimately with the quality look from Varela.
Yeah, one of the challenges, I think, for Austin is you see when they win the ball, they don't look for the counter. They may look to extend their possession for 30, 40 yards to enter the opposing half, but they don't really have the pacey players up top to stretch San Antonio's defense. And what that does is when you cut the ball back and start to build, it gives San Antonio a chance to get everyone back into good defensive shape, and that really works to San Antonio's favor.
Guadarrama with the short corner with the stiff wind at his back. They'll center it up top. Colin Fernandez can be creative that time. Skies one into the beer garden. Never a threat, as Matt Cardone will simply have a goal kick coming up.
Well, there's no lack of talent for Austin, for sure. I always enjoyed watching Okugo, who's been with the Philadelphia Union and Orlando and played with our under-17, under-20 national teams. Just a great group of talented players out there. Like I said, I think if I go back to some of the things that maybe have fallen a little bit short, they're a team that only has 19 assists. And that's just not enough creativity. And I go back to the lineups they were using so often. It was a very athletic lineup. They weren't really, that typical playmaker who sets up that speed to be dangerous. So the lack of goal scoring and lack of playmaking, I think, has held this team back this year. It's not been the lack of defending or a lack of talent on the park.
Well, of course, for San Antonio, third year on the staff for Alan Marcina, promoted before the start of last year to head coach. Second year at the helm. It's his second head coaching tenure, of course, here in San Antonio since pro soccer returned with a certain Tim Hankinson on the sidelines 10 years ago. This is the 10th season since pro soccer's returned. Of course, that first year was across the street over there at Heroes Stadium.
Heroes was a great place to play and get that first season as we watched the stadium, be built. And, I was fortunate to be the head coach and honored to be the head coach at that time when we opened the stadium with its first season and first game. And I look down at the coaches' seats and we're, Coach Marcina sitting and say, wait, that was my chair. But Alan's done a great job with it. He was my assistant back then, and he's won a lot of games and certainly knows the talent pool and does a great job with it.
When San Antonio won that NASL title, Stefano Pino was on the opposing Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Pino suiting up for the Bold this year.
Well, and he had a ton of goals. He was
everywhere he goes.
Everywhere he goes, the most dangerous player on the park. And, I felt like this season is the first season that I've seen where he just did not hit form as far as finding the back of the net. And yet, every time that he would enter the game, I kept thinking, this could be the night. This could be the night. But that's the life of a striker. Nathan has been like that for San Antonio. They go in streaks of scoring goals. Dylan, the other striker up top, had his moments of streakiness, and you've seen that with Epps and Gallegos. But between all four of them, they're all not. The four are not going to be shut out over the course of a night. They're going to find their way, and one of them is going to get hot before the evening's out. The
Brazilian from Sao Paulo, PC, brings this one up. As Gallegos tries to split the double team, Garcia will send it into touch.
You know, it's interesting seeing PC on the left side here playing out of that left back, left midfield position. He started his U.S. career coming from Brazil with Fort Lauderdale, and he was the left back attacking relentlessly. And this is so typical of the Brazilian left back and right back that we see with names like Cafu and Alberto Carlos is they expect to have a free highway there to run up and down and attack. And his placement of the cross to be able to drop a ball into a good spot for strikers is really quite phenomenal. I'll also say that he played the defensive midfield this year, and I actually think he's better at that position at this point in his career. But certainly as a left back tonight, he's one of the strongest players on the park.
San Antonio was piecing something together there before Jermaine Taylor, again, the pride of Jamaica, capped 100 times by the Reggae Boys, was able to intervene. Now here's Austin the other way as San Antonio gets their numbers back. Of course, San Antonio tonight wearing those great Fiesta kits as it is Viva Night here at Toyota Field.
Yeah, Taylor's quite a beast at the back, and he played for Harborview in Jamaica. Oh, here's a break.
A miscue by Austin in the midfield. Gallegos out wide to PC trying to stay onside. Final pass, and Panico has enough opportunity to get to that as Gustavo Risi able to help intervene and run some interference.
Just a little bit too much weight on PC's pass, which is unfortunate.
Another look at how it all developed.
Great cutback pass by Gallegos. Just a fractions off.
Panico this year, 10 shutouts. He has been on loan this season from Nashville SC, the second-year Major League Soccer side, who drafted him 13th overall in the previous year's Super Draft. Played his college soccer like so many great talents at UNC Charlotte for the 49ers, a 4-year starter in his home state.
They produced great goalkeepers there. John Bush, who had over 300 games in professional soccer, came out of UNC Charlotte, and always been a great production of professional players out of that program.
Jasser Kamiri making his 15th start on loan from the Vancouver Whitecaps, out for a stroll. 24-year-old from Tunisia.
He's had a good season, had some on and off injuries, but basically been there. And we were told before the game started tonight that tonight there are no injuries for San Antonio, which I don't believe has happened all season, as Coach Marcina has constantly had to juggle, not necessarily because of tactical reasons or what players are in form. It's been because this defender's out, that midfielder's out.
Oh, there's the well-timed break, and Justin Dillon just could not land on top of that pass in time to beat Panico.
Dillon has developed a reputation for hitting the slant run, the channel run. Came from the blind side behind that defender and was in behind to meet that ball before that defender ever saw that he had gained that position. So unlucky on the pass, but great ideas to be testing that offside line.
It was Dillon who chested home an equalizer against Austin in Austin the last time they met back on September 7th. That was a match that had no scoring except for between the 40th and 45th minute. Austin found 2 goals, San Antonio found 1. A little chaotic stretch right before halftime up in the capital city. And as a result, Austin has claimed the last 2 meetings, including right here at Toyota Field. They are one of the few teams that have come into the Fortress and picked up a win.
Yeah, I mean, San Antonio has been quite interesting in home and away results. I mean, actually, their away results are better than their home results, which I guess you could say is promising, because if you don't play at home in the playoffs, then you've proven against top teams that you can go into someone else's park and come away with the win.
Of course, San Antonio last year in year 1 with Alan Marcina as head coach had such a brilliant start and a great summer, but it all started to kind of slow down going into the postseason, and then there was the first round exit. This year, they have continued to hit their stride and seem to be carrying a little bit more momentum into this time of the season.
I would say, I mean, obviously it's all about peaking at the right time, and that's why we said in the pre-broadcast is you got 180 minutes. Now you've got 160 minutes, and it's all about having your game look sharp, that you're working great on the defensive end, your keeper's hot, your possession is moving the ball around, and your strikers are confident in going to goal and make things happen. And you know, this last game, I can't put it all in the referee, but clearly the game was affected with 17 yellow cards and a red card. But you want to come out of that game, as disappointing as that was, or as strange as it was, and show your form here at home in front of the home fans. You need these fans to be 100% behind you. Going into the playoffs, you want them buying tickets right now and ready to go.
For those of you who did not catch the match in New Mexico, if you've ever seen a clown who just keeps pulling handkerchiefs out of his mouth, it was kind of like that with the referee, who just had unlimited yellow cards apparently available, as souvenirs were handed out aplenty to both sides.
The yellow cards didn't stop coming.
As Epps will try to lay this one off. San Antonio's had the better opportunities here in this opening half, as Matt Cardone's had a fairly quiet night thus far. Of course, this is kind of like what it was earlier in September, the last time these two teams met.
Well, and you talked about the schedule for Austin. There are going to be fatigue factors. They try to rotate players as much as they can, and but in the end, you don't want to spill all your fuel in the first 20, 30 minutes. So you have to be patient and be organized and feel your way into the game. And I think the game started with both teams engaging each other. But I think right now is Austin's kind of content to just let the game evolve for them and make sure that they don't give anything away.
We're level between Austin and San Antonio. Lincoln Rose, Tim Hankinson with you for the first time. Let's check in with the third member of our team, Hayden Partain.
Yeah, thank you. 20 minutes into the half, SAFC's looking a bit sharper, both in transition offensively and defensively. Looks like they're going to get a free kick here, but they're just simply missing that final product, connecting that final pass to create a good chance on goal or put it on target.
You mentioned everybody's healthy, otherwise we'd have Hayden suiting up as well.
He could make those passes. He's got a better feel and weight for that final pass. But that's what I was even talking about with Austin. It's the playmaking ability, is being able to set your teammate up, and that all has to do with, you don't kick the ball, you feel that pass right into his path. And we've had a couple of great opportunities there, and it just a little bit too much weight on the ball. So hopefully, as the game relaxes a little bit more, maybe that touch isn't quite as hard, and we get the quality pass that leads to the goal.
So Panico communicating to that line that's gathered at the top of the 18. It is Nathan hovering around this ball with his right boot. PC also in the area. Is this where San Antonio strikes first here in the opening half to capture an advantage?
You got your right footer and your left footer hovering around the ball.
22nd minute underway here in San Antonio. Nathan into the wall, wants a handball call, will not get that benefit. As Austin the other one. Guadarrama.
Good counterattack.
Up ahead, Sarkodie pushing forward. Service from Sarkodie. It'll be a corner kick coming up for Austin Bold.
That was a good counterattack. I kept expecting him from my previous comment to cut the ball back and give San Antonio time to set up. But that run on the outside, this is what I refer to as being dangerous without the ball. Not just the man with the ball has to think dangerously when you get that close to the box, but that movement without the ball, as we saw with Sarkodie, open that final pass and the eventual cross. Unlucky the cross did not find the accurate area, but maybe they'll find it now with this corner.
Corner from Colin Fernandez, the former Chicago Fire homegrown product, most recently with Tacoma. And another corner awarded to Austin.
Looks like they're trying to play it into that near post for the flick on and catch the defenders behind, losing their marks. See if they go to the same thing or change it up here.
And Fernandez with stops here in the USL Championship with Louisville City, St. Louis, FC Tulsa, was on that runner-up squad with Phoenix Rising in 2018. His left boot back into this one. Over towards the back post, Cardone's got it, no sweat.
Smart corner taking is changing it up. First near post. It's a little bit like Pavlov's dog with defenders. Is you say, hey, I'm going near post, they all start to lean that way, and then you go far post and you take advantage of kind of the opposite. But Cardone did a great job, very confident coming out and picking that service up.
Our referee blowing the whistle because the broadcasters have failed to identify him tonight, so we'll take that opportunity now. Ismir Pekmic, who actually was working an MLS match midweek over in San Jose against Austin.
Well, and think about it. We've gone 23 minutes without a yellow card. That's got to be a record. Well, compared to the last game.
Other way, Dillon. That one continued to climb over the crossbar. Plenty of pace behind it.
Like to have seen him gone far post but low.
So a couple of moments here. That was the lack of foul, if anything, played advantage. And the screamer from Dillon.
Yeah, the common rule is go far post but low, because then the keeper very often can't catch it. He dives, he open hands it, still a loose ball inside the 6. When you go upper, likelihood it is going to travel over the bar like that one did. So we lose our second bite at it.
Again, Panico's had 3 shutouts over the past 2 months, 10 overall on the season. Got a rare night off. It was Arsha Baba, 25-year-old from Iran, who got his first Austin Bold start between the pipes at El Paso. Look, as well as San Antonio's played, the problem is those locomotives over there in the Mountain Time Zone have just been the ultimate constant here throughout the Western Conference.
They have. But, you know, this is an example of what Austin has tried to do by signing players to multiple years. El Paso did that with their group. And Coach Lowry, who has familiarity with some of the players who played for him in Jacksonville, he has familiarity of coaching against Miami FC, that he's got guys like Richie Ryan and others playing for him. So he's got a played-in season group that he's very familiar with, that they have kept together from last year. And that's been a difference maker with them getting off to a big start.
This is Sonny Guadarrama, who's down, again facing his former team tonight. As just a little hip thrown by Jose. Again, Jose just turned 20, Sonny 34. Sonny's first game back, I mentioned he's juggling the broadcast gig as well as playing for the Bold. His first game back was against El Paso, and at the death of the match, a beautiful free kick that scored an equalizer. And it was really just kind of a script that even Disney would be too embarrassed to put out there, saying, no, it doesn't seem realistic. As PC will volley this one back. You saw briefly getting off his chair Ryan Thompson again, the former Jamaican goalkeeper.
So you're saying it needs to be a Disney story of Bend It Like Sonny at this point.
Sonny G, great memories with San Antonio FC, as we can recall, as well as the past few years with Austin as well.
Here's a good break.
Who does he have his eye on? Opportunity building. Looking for history off that right foot. Nathan goes wide.
And this goes back to my preaching when Dillon took that shot. Go hard, low, far post, which in that case is what Nathan did. But if your teammates know that that is your target, hard, low, far post, then players like Gallegos, who are on the left side, others in the area, have got to be screaming into the 6-yard box to make sure that ball doesn't go through the 6.
So Panico never has to lay a finger on it. He'll have the goal kick here. 28th minute underway at Toyota Field. What a venue for professional soccer here in the Alamo City. Another way for Austin Quintanilla. He'll send one in. And no point to the spot. San Antonio comes through cleanly and comes up with a stop.
Well, you know, I think the referee's doing a good job. He's not had to go to cards. He's managing the game without cards, having conversations with players before he goes that far. But these are also, quite honestly, some of the reactions when the referees have their weekly call and they talk about games, and he knows that the San Antonio just went through a game with that many yellow cards. It's almost like that gets into a referee's head that he's got to go the opposite way. And hopefully he's not going to use them easily, but, you know, will use them when he needs to use them.
Yeah, Wednesday, I believe, was just the 5th MLS match that Mr. Pekmich has worked this year. And from what I recall on Wednesday, when in doubt, did not reach for anything in his pocket and just let things play out. This time, not the case. That whistle put to use.
Yeah, that's a good call. Epps clearly was using his arm wrapping over the player's shoulder to bring him down. So a good call by the referee.
I think you and the fan in section 103, row 5, are just going to have to disagree on that.
That's right. My eye's okay.
Scoreless thus far. Fourth and final meeting this regular season. Austin at the moment sits on the outside looking in at the playoff cutoff line. Top 4 from each division make it. Austin sits in 5th behind New Mexico, who gained some separation thanks to their victory over San Antonio back on Saturday. So New Mexico tonight is down at RGV and will face Salt Lake City in their finale. So they're facing the bottom 2 teams, whereas Austin has a date with San Antonio tonight and then steps over to the Eastern Conference hosting Charlotte in the season finale.
Right, and they kicked off the same time we did, so maybe at halftime we'll be able to get an update on New Mexico.
Here is a rare souvenir from Mr. Pekmich, as we'll let you take another look.
So the yellow card to me is not the tackle. The tackle to me was physically a strong tackle, but he made contact with the ball. But it was how Ford got up and worked to intimidate the player by standing over him. And so it was really more of a spirit of the game, yellow, needing to be a better sport about it. But I don't believe the yellow comes from the foul itself.
You are nailing it tonight. If you want to do some officiating clinics at the end of the season, I think you'll have a market.
If they would let me stand in the center circle and make all the calls from there without running box to box, I'd probably take you up on that.
So it will be a restart here for San Antonio, but the card for Ford. Again, Courtney on loan from Colorado this year, the Rapids.
He's done a great job. You know, he's coming off knee surgeries, 2 years of rehab and fighting back. He's come here to San Antonio to show that his knee is back on straight and he can get it done at this level. And ever since he and Tainter came in, the defensive results have completely turned around. And it's been a very tight defense, which they'll need going forward.
Guadarrama, San Antonio stays disciplined, has numbers back. No obvious run for Sonny G. And Ford will buy time for the rest of his teammates, sending this one into touch across the way. But every time that ball lands at the feet of Gallegos, everybody holds their breath wondering what might happen.
Well, and you look at that at the beginning of the year, still a fairly unknown entity, not really a threat. And therefore, he got away with things. And then by about the 3rd, 4th game, when he's hitting goals, hitting final passes, beating players on the dribble, then the foul count started to build. And teams were aware that they had to be after him physically to see how he'd react. And he got through that like a mature player and didn't let it affect his game. But now it's gotten to the point that every time he gets a ball, there are easily 2 and very often 3 defenders around him because he is such a good dribbler. What he has got to do to get to the next level is realize when he's got 2 or 3 defenders around, that means he's got teammates free, and he's got to be able to get his head up, recognize where those free players are, and get those passes off his feet rather than dribbling into the crowd and potentially losing possession. Yes. And hopefully in time that will mature in his game.
Still one of the top young players in the USL Championship. Nathan able to win the foul here, matched up with Akugo. So Nathan getting the better of the veteran center back. Really, Okugo's been pushed more up into the midfield this year. Such a versatile player for Austin.
No, he's good, no question. Very solid. And that allows a player like Baez to be more free, to use his experience to influence the game. It's a good partnership.
So this appears to be Mohamed Abu's kick, signed back in July. 29-year-old from Ghana. Makes his 14th start, 17th appearance tonight.
He's been very solid.
Sends one to the top of the area. It continues to drift. Ford able to head it to the 6. And that's where Jermaine Taylor is able to keep it away from Panico in that goal line. And Cardoni well outside of his area to try to cut off this one.
Here's PC looking for service.
Looking for Ford. And look who's pushed to the front. Kamiri. As this one skirts all the way to the top of the area. Nobody for San Antonio able to land on it.
You talk about counter pressing when you lose the ball. Immediately starting to press the opponent to win it right back, and San Antonio did a great job of that after that last turnover.
Javi Baez back with the captain's armband on tonight, among the men who rested in that El Paso match. Suitable replacement, Jermaine Taylor wearing the captain's armband that night. Baez trying to sell the foul there, and I think our replay will indicate why there was no such foul awarded. It already started to go into a fall. It appeared before the contact with Epps.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Not a flagrant hard foul, but foul nonetheless.
Well, foul on Austin as Abu again, this time with the left boot. Top of the 6, Panico punches it wide. Up to the top of the area, Gallegos. It was Kamiri just running interference, and it'll be a foul. This won't technically be a corner kick, but it'll be kind of a modified short corner coming up.
Yeah, Panico did a great job on that last service. You know, it's a keeper's job is to come out and get anything that he can, but on your way out, your intention is to catch and secure the ball. But as you get out there and you start to sense the crowd and whether you can fully get to it, then you've got to decide, do I lock my fists up and parry the ball away, box it away out of the danger area? And he made that decision very clearly. It was well done.
So Panico and Austin still not in the clear here with this set piece opportunity for San Antonio in the 36th minute.
And this angle shows more the face of goal, and it's a shorter distance, so the ball whips in quicker than what the defenders are used to receiving. So it's a dangerous angle.
Can Abu capitalize with his new son? Initial header, back post, and just couldn't sneak it inside.
Well, they've worked on their set pieces because every time they serve, you can see what they're trying to do. And that time, the early flick on, markings loosen up, and there we are on that back post waiting for it. And just unlucky to be off target.
Marcus Epps was looking for his 7th goal on the year with that one.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, poor position by the defender to have his back to Epps. He's got to really have his shoulder in, goal side, ball side, and as a defender to show a greater desire than the attacker to get to that ball first, meaning you've got to sky up, get your arms spread, and make it very difficult for that attacker to get a clean header on it.
Okugo wins the header, sending it the other way. Ford is going to buy time for Cardoni. Again, Matt Cardoni surpassing Greg Cochran for most appearances by any San Antonio FC player. I believe this is number 111 now for Matt. I ran out of fingers and toes to keep track. But what a tenure it's been.
And you, as you pointed out, I mean, I point out one of the goalkeeper coach here, Juan La Madrid, done such a great job. He was an assistant coach, the goalkeeper coach at Trinity when Matt was there as a youngster. You know, developed him through Trinity University into a top Division III college keeper, came over to San Antonio and has continued his progress. But every single save, every single catch and step of the way, Juan La Madrid has been there for him and really built his confidence into a special goalkeeper.
We'll continue that thought in just a moment. Again, Abu, another corner. They just missed the last time. Unable to direct this one on frame, at least for the moment. Epps. Yeah, Cardoni, who again has been with San Antonio FC ever since the beginning, now in his 6th season. 1 year to the next, they might have a goalkeeper come in on loan or somebody else is signed and he doesn't know if he's the starter or not. But this year, starter from start to finish thus far, always has been a fan favorite. The facial hair certainly has helped with the marketability. But
it certainly has. But, you know, it's interesting because when you have still a young franchise, you know, 3 years ago, you never know who's going to become a face of the franchise. You probably 3 years ago would never have thought that Cardoni would be that guy, but I think he's grown into that, and he represents this club with such pride and respect. It's very happy to have him in this community and in the jersey every Saturday night.
It's Jermaine Taylor who's down right now. Let's check back in with Hayden.
Yeah, you can yeah, you can see that SAFC's added pressure here in the last 10, 15 minutes. Probably want to, find that end product here before the half ends, get up a goal.
Well, remember last time these two teams met, we were still scoreless at this point. It wasn't until we got to the 40th minute that we saw a windfall of goals. Austin struck first, an immediate equalizer coming back the other way from San Antonio. Austin found another lead before half. Again, all that goal scoring occurring within 5 minutes. So for those of you who were thinking you're going to duck out and grab food down the street and come back for the second half, I would say hang on until we actually hear that final whistle.
Right, and of course for the coaches and the players, if they don't score before halftime, everyone walks in the locker room and the coach is thinking, well, throw that first half plan out the window. We've got to come up with something a little bit of a different twist, and it's going to a lot of the time just come out down to how you come out of the locker room. Do you come out with the energy and intensity that you started this game? Can you replicate that and not have a letdown?
That was the knock that Jermaine Taylor took. Again, right now he has to come off the pitch briefly after play was halted. So he's actually jogging. You'll see him in the back of the shot there. He now is welcomed back onto the pitch as the Boulder back to a full strength 11. PC with plenty of real estate here in midfield. And Austin doing a nice job tracking Nathan.
Well, Maloney is such a powerhouse as far as a fit up and down engine on that right side. But I will say that some of the qualities to serve or to shoot are not really the strong suit of his game. And it's very important that he partner with Epps, because when Epps ends up drifting wide and attacks the corner of the 18 or the side of the 18, his ability to finesse a chip or cross or a final pass, or to be able to cut inside and get the shot off himself, has turned him into quite a goal scorer. When he plays this inside position underneath the strikers, for me, he's still a valuable player, but doesn't quite have the same effect.
It's PC's fellow countrymen, not just that, both of them from Sao Paulo, Gustavo Risi, who's down right now after the misstep on that tackle effort. He is in his second year on loan to the Bold. No man has played more minutes for the Bold this year among the field players than Risi. As we get this opportunity to check back in with Hayden.
Yeah, and it's fun because I was reading about Risi, and he comes from the Brazilian club Cruzeiro, and Scolari built that facility with his design. I mean, it's like you can't imagine the perfect world for a team to train. But that's also the club for Ronaldo, the great Ronaldo, and also Fregi, who played for the national team of Brazil. So their production line of great players out of that club, and for him to be a part of that training and that development certainly has been a big plus for Austin.
And Hayden, there's going to be a substitution for Austin. What do you see down there?
Yeah, it looked like Risi. He looks like earlier in the first half, he was feeling his groin. He was talking over to the bench. I think trying to make that challenge on Epps was the final string for that.
So a tough break for Austin as Ryan Thompson will bring on Casey Walls on loan this year from the Earthquakes of San Jose. The 18-year-old will replace Risi on that back line, and that uses not just one of your subs, but one of your substitution windows. I wonder if that will push Austin to make changes at halftime. Panico gets us back underway here in the 43rd minute.
This is
Panico,
where Nathan's dangerous.
well outside of his area. Now Nathan, to Austin's credit, not given a chance to chip.
Yeah, as a striker, you have to decide, do you really have a break to go to goal? And once you recognize that you don't have teammate help and you don't have the angle of goal, just to use the outside of your boot and cut the ball away back towards the flag.
There is all sorts of carnage now, both Austin and San Antonio with men down, separated by 30 yards. There's the Bold player. And it's Nathan, you see, struggling to get one foot in front of the other. And part of that's because he blew a tire.
Yeah, I was thinking that's very fashionable, a white boot and a black boot, but he's lost his white boot. There you go.
So it was Nathan who lost his shoe while trying to create a difference maker in a scoreless matchup. One shoe on, one shoe off. And that's Fabian Garcia who makes sure that Nathan never is able to put a shot on Panico's goal.
No, he does a good job using his body to shoulder him off the ball and take away his angle.
And apologies, still have not identified the player down. I believe it's Taylor.
Hopefully there aren't injuries at this point in the game. Let's keep these guys ready to play in the second half, and it's a good game.
Jermaine Taylor again from Portland, Jamaica. There's his current head coach, Ryan Thompson, from Kingston, Jamaica. And Ryan still looks like he's fit enough to put in 90 minutes of his own.
I don't think there's any doubt.
He's been the assistant under Marcelo Serrano for all 3 years that the Bold have existed, those two reconnecting from their time in Tampa as well. Serrano elevated to sporting director a couple months ago for Austin, as Taylor, it's the second time we've seen him hobbled, this time helped off across the way. Well, Austin's already had to use one substitution.
Yeah, it puts them in a difficult situation. Hopefully, like I said, they can get this guy back on the park and get to halftime. But, Ryan Thompson, he played in the Gold Cup and numerous times for his national team and he knows this league. He's been with Pittsburgh, St. Louis when they were around, and even has some additional experience, played for the Shamrock Rovers, so he's got the luck of the Irish for him.
Perhaps that is why he wears the green polo.
That could be.
We showed Alan Marcina. I'm not going to pretend like his body fat levels are of any concern either.
He has none.
As our referee tonight, Ishmir Pekmich, will get things restarted. Appeared Nathan wasn't too badly banged up, just simply lost his shoe. So we are in the midst of 4 minutes of additional time here in the opening half. Obviously not due to goal celebrations, but with various other stoppages.
Well, a couple of things I say. PC keeps sneaking up this side, but you need to get him in a position where he can hit a quality cross. And they've not, just like the last game, have not really involved Dylan at the striker position.
Ford with a screamer. This is after Gallegos got one to ping pong off of Garcia in that back line. Although it may be a bit patched together for Austin for now. Panico able to keep us scoreless for now.
Great control on this shot. Big instep drive, just targeted right at the keeper, unfortunately, but really well struck.
Ford looking for his 4th goal on the year. Mentioned on loan from the Colorado Rapids, played his college ball in Denver for the Pioneers after growing up in Kansas.
And you can see the shape of the system. Here is Abu running the midfield, and he's got Maloney, stretching that wide side on the right, and PC on this so that Epps and Gallegos can play underneath Nathan and Dylan. And like I said, I like that shape because Gallegos can come forward and beat a player and then all of a sudden slip a ball to a striker. But I still feel like Epps' greatest contribution is coming from a wide position inside, that he does not have the same effect playing underneath the strikers as he does in a wide position. So hopefully he'll find his moments to float back outside in front of Maloney and show his stuff.
Guadarrama called for the foul, matched up there with Abu, fighting for the 50-50. Tainter on loan from within the same division, the same conference rather, with Sacramento.
I've got a fun story about Tainter, where his grandfather, those who are college soccer fans, one of the greatest programs in the history of college soccer and one of the greatest program builders and coaches, was the winner of the 1981 National Championship of the University of Connecticut, Joe Moroni. Joe Moroni is Tainter's grandfather, and I coached against him in that 81 championship. And I've been trying to get a hold of Tainter to say, I got some stories to tell you about your grandpa that you won't believe. So,
well, assuming it was still a fall sport back then, I was alive for that.
Well, finding pieces of the game that cross paths are always fun. But he's been a great addition to this club. Him and Ford, since they joined, they really solidified the defense.
Lincoln Rose, along with Coach Tim Hankinson, great to have you with us tonight. Austin and San Antonio, not just a Copa Tejas clash. Of course, the Division II Copa Tejas has already been locked up by El Paso. It was the absence of El Paso in the same division with the other 3 Texas teams last year during the pandemic that prevented Copa Tejas from being awarded. Austin claimed it the inaugural campaign back in 2019. But right now, it's Austin, if they can find a result tonight, trying to improve their chances of making it 3 Texas teams in the Western Conference playoffs in the USL Championship. But right now, they're on the outside looking in. New Mexico United occupying that 4th and final spot. El Paso and Colorado Springs at the moment sit ahead of San Antonio, who could still climb into that 2 spot. But that's our final whistle for the opening half. 4 additional minutes come and go. Matt Cardoni and Elliot Panico tonight, your men among the pipes, each with clean sheets. As for the most part, have stayed pretty clean in their own right. We'll step aside. When you rejoin us, Coach and I will take a look at some of the scores and highlights from the opening 45. San Antonio and Austin level in a scoreless half.
Hello, this is Cornell with Frost Bank.
Hi there, this is Terry with Frost.
Good evening, this is Franklin.
This is Robert with Frost.
Hello, this is Rosemary with Frost Bank.
Hey San Antonio, we've got one shot to stop this pandemic.
And we are going to need your help.
We can't do it alone.
It's going to take the whole team.
Come on, San Antonio, we got this.
You want to join the team? Get vaccinated. I got my shot.
Yo recibí mi vacuna.
Yo también.
I got my shot. Did you get yours?
Don't miss your shot to help stop this pandemic.
I'd do anything
for you, dear. Anything
for you mean everything to me.
I know that I'd risk everything
for one kiss, everything.
Yes, I do.
Anything.
Is the sweater too much?
Anything for you.
Texas is known for many things, yet one of the best-kept secrets is where the steaks are hot and so are the slots. Down south along the border outside of Eagle Pass, the Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel, the best gaming experience in the Southwest, where getting lucky is more than a feeling, it's a way of life. Book now, LuckyEagleTexas.com.
I mean, seriously, guys, isn't it strange that with all of us in this giant Sirius XM house with like 100 bedrooms,
live recording studios,
a miniature basketball court for Kevin Hart,
and only one bathroom?
There better be hot water left, Brent.
Yo, I'm gonna be late for my show. It's Brent bubble time!
Hurry up!
You're not the only host that lives here, Brett.
I am a first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
Bill, on behalf of myself and everyone at the United Soccer League, it is my pleasure to announce the formal awarding of a franchise in USL League One to the city of Lexington. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to have a soccer team here, and it's going to be a pro soccer team, and we're going to win the games. I'm very competitive, in case you don't know. So this is going to be a winning team. Thank you.
People around the world know our people support our teams with passion and commitment. I know they will do the same when this new team sets foot on the pitch for the first time.
Thank you. From the bottom of the league's heart, thank you for being those that stood up to take on this challenge, that see the value that pro soccer brings to a community, I think and we can see that a lot by the attendance here today. But we see the value here. We know Lexington is a phenomenal sports town, and we're just adding another jewel to its crown, so thank you for that.
We have been helping thousands of small businesses, not only here in San Antonio, but across our footprint. Knowing that SWBC was our partner in our health benefits and all our employee benefits was a relief for me. I knew that we could continue to do our work, we could continue to do our mission, because SWBC had our back. I tell you, for a not-for-profit, we have an excellent benefit program.
At Raising Cane's, we know quality takes time, patience, and the best ingredients, which is why every chicken finger we serve is cooked to order just for you. We never take shortcuts, but that doesn't mean you can't. Introducing an even easier way to order Cane's with our new app. Find your closest restaurant, customize your meal, pay, and schedule pickup. So next time, take it easy and order with the Raising Cane's app.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
A lot of companies have started talking about the importance of community lately. To that we say, welcome to the conversation. 85 years ago, Credit Humans started as a community cooperative, people joining together to make each other's lives better. And that's what we do. We help members fill financial slack to avoid financial stress. It's simple, really. When you improve the lives of the people in a community, you improve the community. We believe that's how you make a better world. Always have, always will.
If sweat is your body's natural way of cooling itself down, then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
Halftime at Toyota Field, scoreless right now between the Austin Bold and San Antonio FC. Both teams back in the locker room making their adjustments for the second half. Lincoln Rose along with Coach Tim Hankinson with you here on ESPN Plus. And Coach, again, we knew it'd be competitive. We just didn't know if this would be a scoreless or maybe even a 2-2 score at halftime. Right now it is the former, as neither goalkeeper's really been tested thus far. It's been a well-disciplined back line, although now a patched back line together for Austin.
Yeah, I think both teams came out and have to feel good about how they started the game. They both brought energy and intensity in the challenge. But clearly, San Antonio had the better of the possession. I mean, I think their possession was 58% to 41. I think the big thing is the shooting accuracy. I mean, San Antonio has 9 shots, but only 1 on target. And for Austin, it's only 2 shots and none on target. So it's been a good game, but lack of efficiency around the box.
Yeah, certainly set pieces have favored San Antonio. We take a look at some of the numbers that kind of stand out, but this early on, back and forth, you see some of the numbers there, and you mentioned shots, but the accuracy needs to improve. If it does, San Antonio has a lead to defend going into the second half. Instead, we're scoreless.
Right, and you know, even one of the stats that aren't showing there is you look at corners, you know, and San Antonio has doubled that of Austin's corner. I mean, not corners, but crosses, and just players have got to get in the box and attack the ball at this point to make the difference.
If you're Alan Marcina back in the locker room, here you are, final 2 weeks. What's your message, not just coming into today, but as well as tomorrow, to try to get this team over the hump to make sure they do get that third home game in that first round coming up?
How you come out of the locker room. I mean, it's got to be a group that is banging their chest and just wants to put their stamp, their personality on this Austin team and how this second half starts. And if they can do that, that can lead to better opportunities going to goal, because as we've pointed out, I mean, there are final passes that have just missed. There are serves in the box that have just missed. They're right on the edge, but it's going to take really a greater determination to get on the end of some of those passes and put them in the back of the net.
Let's take a look at some of the passes. They certainly had a chance to capitalize back in the opening half, all of them really belonging to San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Gallegos' effort, Dylan. Both Dylan and Nathan love to make the slant runs, the channel runs. The team has got to really keep their head up and look for the timing of those passes and the pace on those passes. Keeping your shots on target like that, that's got to be far low, hard to the far post, just like that one is. And players around that box have got to recognize that's where he's going, and they've got to be crashing and sliding into the 6-yard box to get on the end of it. It's that risk-taking that is the difference maker.
Well, one of the most promising things when you look back at those highlights is each time it was a different candidate to find that goal.
Well, I mean, the way they're playing with Nathan and Dylan as a partnership, and I love partnerships. I'm so glad teams are getting away from playing one striker and going back to a tandem like that. And then you look right behind it where you've got Gallegos, a great dribbler, and Epps, a great dribbler. Both can assist, both can score. Getting the ball to these guys and attacking in combination quickly at the top of the box to lead to shooting opportunities is something we just need to see more of.
It is hard to believe that this 0-0 scoreline is going to be what we're saying goodnight with by the end of this next 45 minutes coming up. When you rejoin us on the other side here at Toyota Field, both teams reemerging from the locker room. We'll put a fresh 45 up there on the clock. Second half coming your way here in Copa Tejas.
Ready, set, Pizza Hut! We want to help pack the dome by giving you a voucher for 2 free tickets to an upcoming UTSA football game when you order today. Visit goutsa.com/Pizza Hut for more details. Epic seasons call for epic pizzas.
If sweat is your body's natural way of cooling itself down, then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
Juega en cualquier terreno.
Arrendatarios calificados arriendan una nueva Tundra 2021 Special Edition por $439 al mes. Toyota, vayamos juntos.
Ready, set, Pizza Hut! We want to help pack the dome by giving you a voucher for 2 free tickets to an upcoming UTSA football game when you order today. Visit goutsa.com/Pizza Hut for more details. Epic seasons call for epic pizzas.
Juega en cualquier terreno.
Arrendatarios calificados arriendan una nueva Tundra 2021 Special Edition por $439 al mes. Toyota, vayamos juntos.
Hey San Antonio, we've got one shot to stop this pandemic.
And we are going to need your help.
We can't do it alone.
It's going to take the whole team.
Come on, San Antonio, we got this.
You want to join the team? Get vaccinated. I got my shot.
Yo recibí mi vacuna.
Yo también.
I got my shot. Did you get yours?
Don't miss your shot to help stop this pandemic.
Hi, Spurs fans. I'm Jeff Davis. Often the most important move you make after an accident is hiring the right attorney. Making the right call helps ensure the ball is always in your court.
Just recently, we settled a wrongful death case for $6 million for the family of a father killed by a company van.
If you've been in a car or truck wreck, call, text, or message me at 444-4444. Make the right call and call the Fours. We'll come to you during this Spurs game. There's only one number to remember, and that's 4. Davis Law Firm is a proud official partner of the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, one of the benefits of the scoreline being right where we started is this is all still relevant. The fact that, of course, San Antonio the other night we found out has punched its ticket back into the postseason for the third time in 6 years. First time San Antonio goes back-to-back years into the USL Championship Cup playoffs. Of course, tonight's matchup as well as next weekend's matchup, the only two left on the regular season, both of them are here at home at Toyota Field, and if they can take care of business in these two home matches, their reward will be another home match in the first round of the playoffs.
Right, and I think the key to this is watching these first 15 minutes, how these two teams come out. Is Austin content with where their positioning is in this game, meaning that they're still in a position to win it and are going to be patient and sit there, or are they going to be aggressive? And for San Antonio, you're at home. You got to get these fans on their feet. You've got to get them electrified. They've got to become that 12th player. You're just around the corner from playoffs, and these fans have been not as strong a support as we've seen, before the pandemic. But this is the moment to get them back into it and make sure they're ready to rally behind you come playoff time.
There is one other match in South Texas, a little farther south tonight. It's underway at halftime. It was scoreless between New Mexico United and the Toros of RGV, and just a minute ago, RGV in the 47th minute strikes first. That's good news for Austin. Of course, that is far from final down in South Texas, but New Mexico United with a win tonight could essentially cap Austin's season regardless of what the Bold do here at Toyota Field.
Well, we know that RGV is not playing for a playoff spot, but they've been a very unique story in their journey this year because they started the season in the conference as the dominant team, and then about halfway through they lost their way and couldn't get the results that they were getting in the first half of the season. And so, but a team like that, they're still looking to be spoilers, playing for contracts. They want to finish the season on the best note possible. So it's a tough game for New Mexico tonight.
Okugo able to thwart the early efforts of San Antonio, as Mobi Okugo may very well have a different defined role here in the second half with some of the banged-up men on that back line we've seen for Austin. And a foul is called on Sarkodie.
Well, Okugo is a good player, great experience to plug holes there and cover for players. Again, one of the big problems is that if you look at the scoring leaders for their team, they do not have a name on the Austin roster that in the goal scoring race in the top 30 in the league. And when you're facing that, it's going to be tough to get consistent results. And, I mentioned earlier about, playmaking, and they're a team that only has 18 assists compared to San Antonio's 29. So clearly San Antonio has more playmaking and finished product that they've been putting on the park over the course of the year, and just Austin has not been able to produce that.
18 different men have scored for Austin this year. Javi Baez, the captain whom we featured at the start of the broadcast, 6 goals to lead the team, and then a significant drop-off after that. So your first corner kick of the second half for San Antonio. And Panico keeps it away from Epps. Ball still lingers. Nathan fires a shot into Sarkodie. How about a third bite of the apple? Not going to come here. And a foul on Austin is going to let this ball linger for San Antonio with a free kick coming up.
I think this is the kind of determination we were talking about coming out of the locker room. 2 consecutive shots, and then Maloney sees a ball where he's behind the defender, and he rushes in front and gains the foul, putting us back in a shooting situation. But it's that determination. Don't sit behind him. Let's go win the ball and get after it.
Maloney taken down by Aldo Quintanilla, who's getting his first USL Championship start tonight. Previous 2 years have been down in the valley with RGV. Abu.
Looks like this will not be a shot. It will be a service. Dropping somewhere behind the line of where they're defending and outside the 6-yard box.
Into the face of the wind here in the second half. Looking for Ford. And a couple of volleys back and forth, top of the 6. Able to wrap around it, Dillon denied by Panico, but a corner kick coming up for San Antonio.
Great reaction saved by Panico. We've seen a number of times San Antonio go to this longer serve to the backside of the box with the target being forward. Great vertical, great header, trying to play the ball back across the section, and it certainly is becoming more and more dangerous.
Abu will have to wait as our referee plays mediator right now.
Yeah, we've always got wrestling matches going on in there. Everyone jockeying for position.
Looking for that left-footed outswinger from Abu. San Antonio knocking on the door. They were looking for Epps, but the opportunity never comes as Panico makes no mistake.
Now, a great reach. He's a tall player and very confident coming off his line. I'll tell you, if you're a defender for Austin, knowing that you've got a keeper who can come out and collect and take the danger away, it's gives you great relief.
Nick Hines has come on for Austin on that back row.
And Hines is dangerous coming forward. He's got pace. Very good defender to attack out of a position. So they don't just replace a defender, but they're adding something that can get forward.
Hines, the 23-year-old, came up through the Seattle Academy. Played a couple of years with the Zips at Akron. I feel like everybody played a couple of years with the Zips at Akron.
They are such a great program. And, you go back to Caleb Porter was their head coach when they won the national championship, and Caleb went on to coach our Olympic team, coach out in Portland, won a championship there, and then with Columbus Crew and won a championship there. So they're a breeding ground for great players and great coaches.
Hines is on loan from Nashville SC, just like the goalkeeper Elliot Panico, so perhaps that's a duo that'll continue their careers together, whether it be in the live music capital of the world or the just music capital of the world. Epps.
Come on, Epps.
Looking at what he has right now. A numbers game benefits Austin. Here is Hines. Hines just plows right through the contact from Maloney. As Guadarrama will flip it over to the opposite side.
Well, as we said, Hines is a player that likes to get forward out of his defensive spot. Got the pace to push a ball past a player and get him behind.
Guadarrama in his first start this season. Again, rejoining the Bold this year in September. So these days, Sonny still continuing his professional playing career, kicking off his professional broadcasting career, and still works with youth throughout Central Texas, trying to do what he will point out his father did for him, and that is just have you go through the motions every single day, hundreds of times, working on the little things, and then ultimately you always know you have that foundation underneath you. He calls it roots football, F-U-T-B-O-L. But that has been his focus, and there's a reason why every kid in Austin, when they come to a match, he's the autograph that they're seeking after the match.
Yeah, because he's out there in the streets working with them. That's great. And as a broadcaster, there's no reason we shouldn't have him mic'd up at some point.
Well, he was calling the match that the referee tonight was working back on Wednesday. Opportunity for Epps. Austin with numbers, Epps with daylight, but ultimately can't put it on frame.
Very unlucky. He froze with these little fake kicks and moves. He froze defenders. Defenders diving desperately, trying to get the block on it, and his composure on the ball was so great. Just couldn't find that piece of the net.
We thought this might be the difference maker.
Great effort, though.
Perhaps the left boot would have found a little more success
That's
a
his
split
favorite
second
boot.
sooner.
That's his favorite boot, no question. But good for him. I mean, where you're in a striker position, you can't afford to take the time to get the extra touch to get it to your natural foot. You got to strike when the iron's hot, and made a good effort of it.
I don't think San Antonio gets enough credit for that cross-country road swing that they had, where they went 3-0. No excuses from them when the schedule said after Austin you go to Salt Lake City, then over to New York, then over to Sacramento.
It was a crazy trip. I think it added up to like 8,000 miles, and how they got through that is really remarkable. Because I mean, you look around the world, and winning on the road is so difficult, and everything is working against you. And for them to not just come away with stealing a point, but I mean 3 points, and the confidence that builds in a team is so great.
I think you can point to that as helping solidify the postseason. Certainly the difference when you look at the table. Dylan.
Well, I mean, before that run of games, they were at one point in second to last place in the conference, and the next thing you know, they're in third or second in the conference. So that was a big turnaround for them. There was a period of time this season in the first half where you weren't sure whether they were going to make it into a playoff picture, but they found themselves and found a way to play, and they believe in themselves. So
it is the perfect venue for postseason. We've seen one league championship crowned here. Heck, we've seen some Division III NCAA national champions crowned at this venue over the years. Austin knocking on the door. Alan Marcina looks ready to make his first substitution at the next opportunity as Ford will clear this one out of harm's way.
Clearly one of the best stories potentially of the season, depending on how things turn out. But seeing this sub go in, that was our leading scorer and that had this whole city so excited. To see Patino come into this game, knowing that first game he played, he had a hat trick, followed up 2 more games with goals, and then he had, a card issue that led to a suspension, then injuries that have kept him off the park. So at this point, to see a top-level scorer enter the game just before playoff time, it's this could become magic, and very, very exciting substitution.
The Colombian comes on in relief, found 2 additional goals after that hat trick, so 5 on the season now. Santiago Patino out of Colombia, making his 10th appearance, second off the bench for Alan Marcina, former Orlando City SC man.
Yeah, he's very dangerous. I remember I was coaching USL League One for a while. He was with Orlando B, but always one of the most dangerous players in the league. And he had not found form until here. And to have that hat trick that first game, I mean, what a start to the season for him and for the club. It's just a matter of does he have time to get match fitness and match sharpness, and even beyond match sharpness, when you're a striker and goals are expected of you, finding that magic around the box is something you hope finds him, and he can bring that into the playoffs, whether it's off the bench or back into a starting role.
Nick Hines was making a remarkable run, was sending in a probe, but Mitchell Tainter rejects the effort, but instead a corner kick coming up here for Austin. Well, unlike their last meeting, we did not see 3 goals in the final 5 minutes of the first half. Kinsani Guadarrama in a rare set piece here. It's the second time Austin just goes short to improve the angle. As Fernandez tried to send one in, nothing to show for it yet. And they'll reset all the way back with Elliot Panico. Again for Austin, 5th match in 14 days, 6th match in 18 days. However you want to look at it. What a gauntlet. Gallegos into space. And just able to find a favorable angle is Patino.
Well, that's what he does. This is a no-nonsense striker. He spends a lot of time playing in the traditional sense of the number he wears, the number 9, which is you're not going to see him making slant runs to the outside. He's a guy that plays between the posts and is always looking to poach. When I first saw him, I called him raton, which is rat in Spanish, because he was always looking for the cheese inside the 6-yard box. Just a poacher, and he's great at that. So we'll see if he can return to form.
We saw him there hoping that Panico would make a cavalier pass to one of his backs. Again, Casey Walls, who's come on in a reworked back line due to injuries sustained for Ryan Thompson's group already in this contest.
Well, looking at, again, going back to how is Austin going to get a goal? If San Antonio stays organized with their back three and then Abu sitting in front of it, we're in pretty good shape not to get hit with the counterattack. So then you're left with a slow buildup. And because we're not seeing playmaking with the slip of the pass to open up the defense, to find the channel run and the channel pass, you're almost reduced to...
Gallegos takes his shot from 25 out. Panico does have to intervene. Oh, but Gallegos is going to have a few more of those in his career that ultimately make him a hero on any given night.
Yeah, it was a great shot, well struck, and good reaction save by Panico. But finishing my thought, I just feel like the cross is going to be the best opportunity to create havoc in the San Antonio box. And
as we'll mention, the corner that was taken off the mark. And no harm done is Panico.
Yeah, and I think going back to the crossing concept is I think Hines is going to find quite a few opportunities this side. He seems to be the one that they're looking to play to and can get the penetration to find an angle to get that cross in.
Well, a great crowd tonight. Again, such a fan-friendly setting here at Toyota Field. Opened its doors back in 2013. The Rowdies came to town to help open up the pitch that evening. Of course, the Rowdies nowadays over there in the East. Won the East last year. Remember, we did not have a final in the USL Championship due to the pandemic. We got through the conference championships, but the match itself on the final day was canceled. So we haven't crowned a champion in this league. Phoenix Rising, they've come close a couple of years, but no cigar yet.
Well, Tampa's one of those teams, if you look at their shutout record, for the number of minutes that they produced without giving up a goal, I think it was over 800. I mean, it was phenomenal. And those are qualities in their game that clearly can help you get to a final. But they're a great attacking team. They have the number 2 scoring striker in the league, and Tampa's always produced great teams, just something in their genes of the old Rowdies days.
San Antonio able to keep Quintanilla from testing that threshold of Cardoni.
And they've got a fun park. Not an easy place to play. It's a old baseball stadium right next to the yacht club, so you hear the clanging of lanyards hitting the sailboat masts, and just it's a narrow, awkward park to play in.
Shot from 19, blocked 2 yards later. Not sure if that ball was meant for Epps. Of course, you'll never complain if it sets up a shot from Patino, but both of them were in the area.
Well, Patino, you can tell, is excited. He's not going to give away any chances to shoot.
And Maloney is going to win another corner. Let's take another look at a ball into space. Epps was making a run, but Patino was already there waiting.
And I can't blame Patino for taking that shot. I mean, because Epps makes that run, draws a little attention by the defender, a little bit of attention to the left by the goalkeeper, really opening up Patino's left side or the keeper's right side.
San Antonio still trying to capitalize on a set piece and just beyond the reach of the big toe of Mitchell Tainter.
These long services, whether it's a corner or otherwise, into the backside of the box and headed back across, is starting to find unmarked players. Austin may be marking the players initially, but because of that change of direction over and back in, looks like they're starting to lose those marks and start to ball watch a little bit. And that's why on that one you had free players for San Antonio sitting there looking for that knockdown. So Austin's got to do a better job, otherwise San Antonio's going to get one.
Guadarrama takes a shot there from 30 yards out that if you haven't followed his career, you're thinking, what are you doing? But he has more than a handful of clips up on YouTube these days of those shots going home.
Oh, well. Time to get my computer out.
As even, again, had one for San Antonio back in 2018 against Fresno. That one actually clanged off the crossbar and hit off a keeper before ultimately going home on that Cinco de Mayo.
Well, not only do you need great technique and power to distance that kind of a shot, but your awareness of reading the keeper. Is he off his line? Can you catch him in a bad spot? And so not every player can can figure that out fast enough at the right moment to get that shot off. But it sounds like he sees it and reads it.
Looking again for your second half sub, Santiago Patino. That time through the air. Gallegos looking as though he'll do the honors on this throw.
Well, you know, if you're Patino, you started the season, and after the first 3 weeks, you were the star, and looking like you're going to win the Gold Boot Award in the league. And then all of a sudden, you have suspension, which was his mistakes, but then injuries, and now you're finally back with 2 games left in the regular season, and you're thinking, what do I have to do tonight to get back in that starting lineup for the playoffs? Because that's where every player wants to be. So I can understand why he's being aggressive to get the shot off, because if he gets a goal, then coaches start thinking twice.
Here's the run from Guadarrama. And pardon me, no, that's Quintanilla. And that will not go unnoticed. It'll be a free kick coming up, a professional foul, if you want to call it that, for San Antonio, as Maloney, for now, keeps his goal in the clear.
You have a bit of a foul there using the hands. He's got the break, and then he pulls him down. You know, people will argue with me. Is that more than a yellow? It's not more than a yellow from a flagrant standpoint, but that guy at that point is beyond the defender, and he is steps away from goal. And maybe you could make the argument, well, there might have been another defender more central that could come over and help deal with him. But that could easily be a red card.
Fabian Garcia already has a goal of the week in a situation like this. That is why Sonny Guadarrama is willing to concede this kick to Garcia. Garcia also has been with the Bold all 3 years, has seen his role increase. Some of the veterans have parted ways coming into this year. Garcia sends it in. Cardoni able to field it. And it keeps us right where we started this matchup with a couple of zeros on the scoreboard.
I hate to say this. We really came into this thinking, all right, this is going to be 3-2. Teams are going to light it up. This is starting to feel like it's a one-goal game. You know, I mean, nobody is giving a real inch, and nobody is giving away, you know, easy chances. And no one is really putting many of these shots.
Nathan denied by Panico. The only thing better than the screamer off the right boot was the single paw stop from the man in frame.
What a tremendous shot. I just said no one's putting it on frame, but I got to take that one back. Nathan did a great job on that shot and a great save.
Well, before that 2-1 loss in Austin last month for San Antonio, every time San Antonio has scored against Austin, they have come away with points, whether that be a win or a draw. Again, they are hoping for a full 3 points by the end of tonight's 90 minutes. Epps trying to salvage this one. Not going to be able to catch up with that ball. Just a moment ago, Nathan looking for his unprecedented 12th goal in an SAFC kit. You saw Casey Walls stick out his right leg, and how often do we see, even in recent matches involving these teams against other squads, a slight deflection off of a leg like that, and a goalkeeper misreads the ball altogether, and that's your difference.
Yep.
My chief researcher, Mr. Tim Hankinson, points out that, again, down in the valley, RGV has doubled its lead 2-0 in the second half against New Mexico United. Again, we'll remind you, before the hour mark, San Antonio had a lead against New Mexico United, 2-1 on the road. So we will not assume that New Mexico is coming up without points tonight. But again, tonight they tangle with RGV. They still have Real Monarchs in their season finale.
Yeah, it's that makes it very, very interesting going into this weekend. You know, because if New Mexico loses and can't overtake, you know, it puts Austin in a position where they can make a real fight for a playoff spot at this point.
Yeah, now Austin very much wants to be able to take care of business here, not rely on help from those Toros down south.
Yeah.
But if you can pick up 3 points somehow here on top of a failure by New Mexico to find points, all the better for you. As Ryan Thompson will go back to his bench. Sonny Guadarrama's first start since returning to the USL Championship. Will come take a seat the next time Sonny's involved in a match. Well, he's going to have the headset on tomorrow when the Dynamo go to Austin. That he'll no doubt continue his prep for later on tonight. In his place, Beto Avila. It's one Austin product for another. Beto, grown up in Hutto, just north of Austin, now 20 years old, makes his 17th appearance this year.
Yeah, Beto's got quite a few minutes with this club, so bringing fresh legs in like that has experience on the park for them is clearly a good advantage for them.
I believe Avila had one of his few career goals right here at Toyota Field last year. And that shot well off the mark from Quintanilla, who's also getting his first start of the year tonight. Austin, a season ago, really started to make it a priority to increase the percentage of players that actually had Austin ties. We have seen that continue to swell.
Well, and, that's where the academy system comes in, your path to pro. I mean, that's something San Antonio has done such a brilliant job here, producing players like Gallegos.
No room for a mistake as that ball intended for Patino, kept away for now by Walls. Panico waiting for the next time that he'll have to intervene, most recently tested by Nathan, who the other night with a penalty against New Mexico found his 11th goal on the season. One of the just 3 San Antonio men throughout the past 6 years to have double-digit goals. Gallegos slipping it into gear, and he's going to win a free kick. The foul there, Casey Walls, have to imagine he knew what he was doing there as Gallegos was starting to slip it into cruise control.
That's where Gallegos is so dangerous when he turns, faces you, and starts to have a run at you. Very strong on the dribble. I'm not so sure that's a foul. That, for me, the defender puts the boot in, strong, solid stand-up, block tackle, didn't have to slide, and admittedly, Gallegos takes a tumble because his feet can't go forward because of the tackle on the ball, and has a little bit of slight contact with Epps there that makes the situation sell itself to the referee that there was a foul. But I'm not so sure.
Javi Baez and the men from up north I-35 likely to side with you there. See Beto Avila also hovering over this ball, but another set piece in a dangerous spot for the home side.
Well, and PC, definitely an educated left foot. He's got the ability to bend it around the wall. And before his injuries through the middle of the third of the season, he was the man on the ball. So see if he can find his form.
The 27-year-old from Sao Paulo, trying to put San Antonio up straight into the wall. And now a little chaos with a probe into the box. And a little wag of the finger. There will be no penalty awarded.
Now, the way the referee has called this game tonight, he's not giving away any cheap fouls in the box.
Austin now trying to capitalize, and Courtney Ford may have saved the match just by getting in the way of that pass. See if we can cue it up in just a moment. Here's your shot, and this time the heroics from Matt Cardoni. A moment ago, was this a penalty that should have been awarded to San Antonio?
Yes. Yes, that's a penalty. He's in a position to play the ball and get the shot, and basically he's being mugged.
Well, Austin was unlucky on the opposite end to not have a goal in transition while San Antonio protested, but Austin still with the corner here, and Ford will make Austin settle for simply a toss.
Oh, it was a great attack by Austin, coming back the other way.
Avila sends one in. Hines, a little nifty footwork, but ultimately Cardone on top of it, no problem.
I don't know if they'll go to him tonight. They've made some substitutions, but an old player of mine from Montego Bay and a former San Antonio FC player, Omar Gordon, Owain, as you might put it. But he's a guy that can kill a team with speed. And as this game starts to become tired now, bringing in that element to go against tired defenders can certainly be a weapon for Austin.
Played in that Gold Cup final back in 2017 for Jamaica. Pride of Montego Bay. Yeah, it was part of that Indy 11 group that won the spring title in the NASL.
Yeah, played for me there. And when he played for me in Jamaica for Montego Bay, we played in the CONCACAF Champions League, and also he led the entire Jamaican Red Stripe League in scoring. So he's not shown the scoring touch as much.
Patino, here's an opportunity, and PC skies it. Wow.
Wow, does he want that one back?
He was looking to rip a hole through the roof of the net. Instead, that one's 3 blocks down the road.
Yeah, he can't believe it. No one can believe it in this park right now. The fans came off their seats for that one.
Will it maybe go in on the replay here?
And that's his educated left foot. He just got under it. Maybe the ball took a little bobble. He got under it and it took off. But that's where you have to be able to sprint at full blast, be explosive, but have a soft touch. Because that didn't need a dynamic shot. It just needed to tap in.
On the opposite end here, a foul on Quintanilla as San Antonio restarts. Well, that was Patino creating an opportunity for PC.
Well, and quite honestly, that's the best chance we've had all night. I mean, we've had some good shots in the second half that have been on frame, better approaches. But the best opportunity all night was PC's. And the fans realize it. We're getting the chant, and that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, great environment as these two teams from the Hill Country and South Texas collide. For a 4th time this year, Austin has taken 2 of the first 3 meetings, including a rare victory here at Toyota Field for any visitor.
Gallegos putting on a display of his happy feet there. He's got a lot of skill, very improvisational in trying to freeze the defender, get the defender to move one way so he can cut the other. And
since losing in Austin, San Antonio's form 5 wins, 2 draws, just 2 losses, both of those against New Mexico United. And the only reason why I was comfortable talking over a corner kick from Mohamed Abu is I'm certain we'll see another one soon enough.
Yes.
Abu, if you care to send mail to Abu, if you know how much postage is these days, go ahead and send it to any corner of Toyota Field and he'll get it.
Yeah, he's there a couple of games ago, PC was out. They did not really look like they had a player that was going to create a good free kick. I'm not talking about a bending, fancy, technical pass, but someone who was going to give our guys a bite at it. And Abu seemed to step up and give that to the team. And so we see him in that role, bringing that consistency. And it's been dangerous tonight because we've seen that ball play to the backside for Ford, who heads it back in, and it's loosened up their marking. So
we just saw Epps shake free of 2 defenders, but nobody on the backside to take advantage of some service. So 78th minute. And we are going to see one of your countless former players come into this one, and Omar Owain Gordon, 29-year-old from Montego Bay. At the next opportunity, he'll come on along with Omar Sis. I don't know if it just counts as one substitution if you bring on people both named Omar, or if this will count as 2.
That's got to be in the coach's plan somewhere. Well, Omar can play on the right side or the left side in the wing position and burn with speed. He also has played as one of the two center forwards, creating just, again, breakaway speed. And when you have that kind of threat to defenders, they start dropping a little bit more, and that opens up more midfield. And Cease, who's coming in, usually sits into a central midfield role and can attack out of that position. And so one may open up space for the other, but we'll see how it plays out.
Well, so far, neither side has committed the critical mistake to allow a goal to leak through.
Yeah, we've had a few near mistakes. The previous shot by Austin came from a mishap outside the 18, but they've not been blunders that have had to sacrifice a goal. And team players, instead of watching, have been very, very sharp and reactive in taking an action to seal up the problem quickly.
Javi Baez keeps that one outside of the area.
But you look at Patino here. He's so centralized, like I said, looking to make his run right between the posts, looking for a knockdown, looking to poach a goal.
Instead, it's Beto Avila. About to wrap up with the 80th minute. Again, Austin still looking to make a couple of substitutions at the next stoppage, as Epps will center this one. Maloney. And it was Nathan on the back post, but Nathan about a story too short to get to that one.
Yeah. You know, I don't like to be too critical of players who work as hard as Maloney, but again, his strength is really not the cross or the shot. And even though he gets in advanced positions, when you've got a guy like Epps 5 yards away, it should really be about prioritizing. You've gotten us this far. Now cut the ball back, get it to Epps, support him, let him do his thing. If he loses it, go win the ball again. And that's knowing and understanding your limitations. And that's not really taking anything away from what Maloney brings to this team, because he's got the biggest heart on the team and the biggest engine on the team, and that helps so many players around him. But we have to know our limitations to make sure we get the ball into the right people's hands.
Well, Juan Pablo Torres, the New York City FC man on loan to Austin, comes off after a quiet night. Aldo Quintanilla also comes off after his first start of the year. 6th appearance overall this season for the two Omars.
Well, and you see that instead of going to the wide position, Omar has gone straight to the deep center forward. So he's going against against Ford, and both great athletes. But that's what Omar's looking to do, is look to break and get him behind the defense.
From the byline. A little tall for the penalty spot on that service. And we've got a point to the corner. It will be a set piece for Austin.
Well, you know, I've often said when you talk about crosses and service like that, you saw every player in there, defender and attacker, elevating and going after it. And when you elevate and the player you're playing against doesn't, it means you're showing a greater desire than he is. In that particular sequence, you had like 2-3 pairs of players, both of them going up, banging shoulder to shoulder, which means these players are playing with a tremendous amount of desire to win this game.
Colin Fernandez in the corner. His left boot. Top of the 18, the captain fires, stopped by Cardoni. Javi Baez smokes one towards the frame, but Cardoni comes through.
Great shot. Great blocks. Team doing very well, stepping to the play, looking to block, making themselves big.
Cardoni, who came into tonight, only man having played every single minute this season for San Antonio. And they'll get Avila for the foul.
Well, like I said, both teams have done very well in not letting up goals this year.
Matt looking for his 7th save on the season. Panico looking for his 11th. Here's a ball that lingers, trying to turn. Austin flooding the area now with their white kits. And it'll be a throw coming up for San Antonio here in the 84th minute.
I mean, you look at Austin has given up, 41 goals, and San Antonio 38. Austin has 10 shutouts. Cardoni has 6. These are teams that do know how to defend. Making a result like this, the way it's been played, very hard because neither team wants to have a breakdown defensively. It really comes down to who's going to have that quality moment going forward and find the back of the net. So many of the shots tonight hit hard and on target in the second half, but not going for corners. You know, they're just hitting it. And when you just hit it like that, typically it goes straight to the keeper, and they've been up to the task to parry and block and catch and make the saves that they need to. But someone needs the composure to slow that shooting angle into a corner spot that the keeper can't get to.
Austin shut out San Antonio the last time they met here on July 3rd. San Antonio repaid the favor later that month by shutting out Austin in Austin. Gallegos unable to land on that. Instead, it's Baez for the Bold.
Got numbers in the box.
Okugo. And that one just continues to drift. Simply corner kick coming up for the Bold. Mentioned Amobi Okugo. How did he spend his pandemic? Well, getting a graduate degree in business law.
Wow.
He's already started a business on the side called the Frugal Athlete to help pro athletes who are, for the first time, having to manage money, figuring out how to make that money last.
Future general manager in this league, for sure.
So all of a sudden, it's Austin putting together the corner kick opportunities. Can the visitors capitalize? Again, it's Fernandez, the left-booted outswinger. They'll keep it low to Okugo, who just could not sneak one on frame.
Great heel flick, though. Could have caught our defenders by surprise for sure.
Amobi among the myriad of Bold players with one goal on the year. Mentioned 18 different men have scored for Austin as they try to keep this ball away from Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan has got to get back to his slant runs. Always forcing defenders to chase him, which takes a defender away from Patino, and that's Patino's game where he can sneak away to poach. Those strikers have got to find a way to complement each other, and yet the problem is that Patino's been out so long, it's almost like preseason for those two. It's going to take them time, and it's good they're getting time because that can help come playoff time.
Kamiri picking up the yellow on that effort, matched up against Gordon. Can one of these two sides steal the full 3 points as we drift into the 87th minute?
Well, I mean, as we get to the closer and closer to the end of regulation and they start looking at how many minutes are we going to add on, even though we've had substitutions, there have not been a lot of delays. I mean, we haven't had goals to celebrate or anything like that, so I can't imagine they're going to add that much at this point.
Cardoni just outside of your picture on his back line, wondering when that next shot will come. It won't anytime soon. Austin's goalkeeper, Panico, standing at the top of his 18 to stay within shouting distance of a reworked back line after injuries factored in the first half for the Bold. And the decision-making for Ryan Thompson, who was elevated to head coach late in the season. And here comes another free kick for the visitors.
I think it's, I heard that Ryan's the first Jamaican-born head coach in the league, which I think is very exciting because they've got so much passion for the game in Jamaica. And if you've come up through the roots there, through the leagues, and found your way to the States as he has, and gained the experience both at international level and domestic level, what a great addition to have in the coaching staff of the USL.
The man in the polo, yeah, first full-time head coach from Jamaica in the league. I believe we had briefly one interim. But what a pleasure it is to get to know Ryan Thompson. These players love playing for the former All-American at the University of Tampa. And was part of that runner-up squad in the Gold Cup. And as you noted, well-traveled as a player throughout the States especially.
Well, it really flipped a coin for their club. I mean, you know, you're playing for one coach, one style, and then it turns over. It's a different voice. he's a player's player, having been in this league like the players in uniform, and it just changes the whole mentality of the team a little bit. And he was rewarded with 4 or 5 quick results, which is great. I mean, if you're in Brazil, that's all you get hired for is 4 or 5 a run of points, and when the points run out, they change again to another coach. So we're not that volatile here in the States, but
Patino in the area. Patino looking top right 90. And that ball, just not behaving tonight, continues to trend up and over the crossbar.
But Patino is showing that he can be a factor. I mean, he's come into this game, and within the time he's had 3 or 4 actions to goal. And you can also see the kind of striker he is. I mean, he didn't have an angle across the goal. He picked out the right upper corner to aim at, and he didn't hit it. But it's one of the things I'm talking about is you've got to have the composure to go for corners, go for angles. Don't just hit it as hard as you can at goal, because that has proven not to be successful tonight.
Yellow card issued to Panico, perceived to be time wasting. We've seen goalkeepers take a little more time than Panico did there.
Yeah. He's that's normal. That's knowing how to close out a result. Come away with a shutout, come away with a point. I'm sure the word has hit the field that New Mexico lost, and therefore a point could serve this team well tonight.
Yeah, Austin's 3 points back of New Mexico coming into today. And now it may have looked worse than it was. That right elevated boot of Casey Walls. 2 additional minutes will be tacked on in this rivalry. As we'll give you a quick look before Abu has another set piece.
This is one of those moments in teaching a team, you've only got a couple of minutes. Do you go with the long serve and dump it in and hope? Or do you build and create a quality chance? One I called a half chance or an immature chance. The other one I call a mature chance. And they chose the quick half chance, but he's off.
Nathan, flag stays down, at least for the moment. Panico able to scoop it up. Well, Nathan right there was going to have a chance to go 1v1 with Panico if that flag was never going to rise. Epps, can he add another assist to his resume? Looking for Nathan. Critical moments in the final minute. Will either side find the full 3, or will they split 1 point apiece?
Just takes one chance. Just one.
San Antonio with the pitch tilted in their favor at the moment. Perhaps a little too frenzied of a pace.
Here's Omar.
Gordon. And Kamiri will get the better of that exchange.
Kamiri did a good job using his body to get between the ball and Omar's run. Well defended. Last go for Gallegos, maybe?
Just one match on the regular season calendar left for each of these sides after tonight, next weekend.
Here it is. Time is up. One last opportunity.
It looks like both teams will wake up in the same position they were coming into tonight. For San Antonio, the news is a little bit better. You know you're in. The question is, are you hosting? Right now, Colorado Springs ahead of you in the table, but a chance to change that right here. If practice makes perfect, Muhammad Abu should have a PhD in set pieces. Back post, Ford just can't sneak it inside the pipes. No whistle yet. We play on.
Again, going to that same play, that long ball to the far post, and headed back in.
And there's your final whistle, the 4th and final meeting complete between San Antonio FC and Austin Bold. San Antonio will split the points with their visitors from just up north I-35. Here were the closing moments when the men in the Fiesta kits thought they might have been able to find that lone goal.
Well, it's coming off a 4-2 loss. You had to establish aspects of your game to correct that last match. and coming in and getting a shutout, no goals against, creating some good chances, but let's spend the week finishing and showing composure around the net to find those corners, because that's the difference in the game. Great defending, but we need to finish better, and we've got a week to work on that to close things up next weekend.
No guarantee for a home playoff match yet in the first round, but what is guaranteed, you do have a chance to see San Antonio in person right here at Toyota Field next Saturday when Colorado Springs and Haji Berry come to town for Austin. They will go home next weekend and host in their regular season finale the Charlotte Independence. The question is, will they be able to punch a ticket to the postseason as well? So for Hayden Partain and Coach Tim Hankinson, I'm Lincoln Rose. Big thanks to our entire crew here in the Alamo City. Final score from Toyota Field, a scoreless draw here in this Copa Tejas rivalry. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.